he can hear us well. Hello, good evening, lovely people. You are still welcome to the Time with the CEO. Today on the Time with the CEO, we are going to discuss an interesting topic that I'm very passionate about. That's ICT, the role of ICT in the agribusiness. And ICT has become the backbone of many industries, and it continues to impact and contribute positively towards growth and high yield. How is it affecting our agriculture industry in this country? Let's go for this short commercial break. When we come back, I'll introduce my panelists.
Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter.
Hi there. You're welcome to the Time with the CEO. My name is Atokwa Minaforsen, and with me today is a gentleman who is very well vested in the fields of ICT and then agriculture, merging it beautifully to increase yield. I have here with me Mr. Fanuel Seli Gakpeto. That's a powerful name right there. Mr. Gakpeto, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope everything is moving on beautifully with you.
By the grace of God.
That's nice. That's nice. As an ICT or as an IT person and agriculture, where the link? Where did you find such a beautiful link between ICT and then agriculture?
Okay, so it all began back in senior high school. I actually enjoyed the ICT class better than any other class where I was a science student. Then continuing to the university, I wanted to read computer science. Unfortunately, I ended up in the College of Health Sciences, where I studied sports and exercise science. But in this
it happens.
In this 21st century, you don't need to be in the class to study certain things.
Sure.
So I also made use of the online platforms to still continue my study in IT. Then afterwards, after school, I got the opportunity to join a competition which was solely agri-tech. And coming from a background of farmers, my grandfather was a farmer, was into both crop and animal farming. My uncles and father was into farming. So I realized the passion was there for agriculture because back when I was a child, I still go.
It is the ancient profession, you know.
I still go to the farm with them, and I enjoyed being on the farm and how crops grow, how animal breed, and all those stuff. So I decided to merge these two interests when the opportunity came, and it's been interesting. It's been interesting, and ICT has more to deliver to agrec, and more to unfold as.
Wow! So you entered into this competition. Was it one with tell us more about this competition?
Okay, so it was with Cosmos Innovation Center.
Okay.
They are under Cosmos Energy, and it's more or less their social corporate responsibility. So they bring young graduates together who have the passion and interest in agriculture. Then they take you around the country. You visit various agricultural firms, look at what is going on some big farms around the country, and then when you are back, you're asked to form teams, brainstorm and come up with business ideas in agriculture that has link with technology. So agri-tech as it's put.
Right.
And then you pitch your ideas to panelists and investors. Then at the end, Cosmos Innovation Center ends up funding some of the teams and companies that are formed. During my year cohort, which was 2019, we had close a number of 11 teams going to the final, and then 2 out of the 11 were funded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That is to me an issue because I'm sure most of the problems that you all identified were very important. Probably due to lack of funds, they can only afford to fund 2.
Yeah. Almost all the problems, even those who got dropped out from the very first pitch. We had 3 different pitches. From the very first pitch, also had very good and salient ideas that would solve a lot of issues in the agricultural sector.
So your side, what problem did you identify in the agriculture sector?
Okay, so we saw post-harvest losses and then food spoilage, and that was more of interest. During brainstorming as a team, we had a lot of ideas coming on board. But we realized that this is one of the biggest problems in the country, where storage is not really tackled.
Exactly.
Yeah, lots of food go waste, and then people are still hungry. Where the SDG is talking about we preventing food loss, and then saying bringing hunger to 0. So it struck us, and then we tried brainstorming. Then a scenario of an ex-seller who happened to be my auntie, who resort to preserving eggs using cold storage. Then we decided to do more research into how that could help on the market. So we went on market research, the Techima market, the Kumasi market, Agbogloshi, Medina, and some other few markets. Then we realized that fruits and vegetables were the ones that were at the mercy of the temperature and then the storage. especially on the market, though it happens on the farm, and even transporting from the farm to the
Exactly,
market.
because most of our roads leading from the farm to the market are not good.
Are in very bad shape. So it ends up affecting the crops.
The crops, of course, before they even move from the farm to the market center, so much time has been spent.
So we looked at the problem, and instead of starting from the farm, we wanted to do a reverse.
Okay.
Where we start from the market, where the market women are able to preserve what they buy and sell, because we realized that by the third day of they purchasing from the aggregators, almost 40% of what they bought is getting spoiled. And
which is a loss to them.
Yeah, as at then they buy a box of tomato at 800 cedis. The least they could get is at 600 cedis. So imagine 40% of 800 cedis going waste. But they try finding other ways to sell those rotten tomatoes at a cheaper price to make up for what was going wrong. So we decided if the market woman could sell more, the aggregator can bring more from the farm. Then we help the aggregator also in transporting. Then we go back to the farm and then teach the farmer what to do to help the crops last longer, give them more shelf life. So this brought about we coming out with the idea Thermostore, where we resort to use cold storage facilities to preserve the shelf life of fruits and vegetables.
Wow, it's a brilliant idea. I mean, this is a problem that we all know. And first of all, you identify the problem, and then you sat down, brainstormed to see how best you can come up with solution. And this is not new to the world space. I know in other countries, for instance, Kenya and India and other places, you know, they employ a lot of technology in solving their problems. Did you pick inspiration from any of these countries?
Yes, we did. Not even to go far, in Nigeria, there's a company also running similar idea, but they are doing it with the farmers. They are called Code Hubs. I think they have 2 of it even in Nigeria, who are running similar ideas with the farmers. So we looked at their model. We looked at Kenya. There's another in Kenya. And then from Israel. Israel has more of its duplicates of it. So we looked at all these countries and how it's helping build their agricultural sector. Then we realized that Ghana is no exceptional. We also need this. So we decided to pursue it.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So back to Ghana. After identifying the problem and then also brainstorming to see a possible solution, what next? You pitched, and then what happened?
So even before our pitch, one thing we learned, aside the market research KIC takes us through, there are these lesson sections where we go, let me say, sort of a lecture or a class where you are taught more on entrepreneurship and how to develop an idea into a business, a viable business. So one major thing most young entrepreneurs don't do is to find out the viability of whatever they are bringing on the market, whether the people want it or it meets the demand of the people. So we resorted to go back to the market women because they are our first target in solving the solution, so the problem. So we presented our ideas to them, and they welcomed it. But there was one thing we realized: though they were happy about it, some were kind of skeptical. Because why should I buy my fruits and vegetables and come and store it in a cold
so
storage?
Run us through how your solution is. Is it that you are building a very big cooling device or a fridge at the market centers? Run us through.
So we were putting up a facility, not movable, not mobile for the market. It's a station facility, and we wanted to use we wanted to put in a bit of recycling. So the shipping containers, instead of leaving them lie at the harbor, just and then people sell for other things, we wanted to bring that to the market. Then we develop it into a cold store. But not just any other cold store like that of what is used to sell fish and meats on the market, but because fruits when frozen doesn't come back to its natural state.
Because it will absorb some water and all that.
So as at this time, we didn't have any engineer on the team, so we had to go and bring a colleague who was also part of the competition, who
That's great.
is a civil engineer.
That was very, very smart of you. So if you are listening to us, know that your idea, you may need somebody with a certain special skill set to help you to move. So identifying the right people with the right skill set is part of your successes. Continue, Mr. Gakweto.
Kawi, the guy called the engineer on the team is called Kawi. Not knowing to us, he was part of the team that fine-tuned the code hubs in Nigeria idea. So it was just like we having the right person on the team. So he came up with the idea, okay, building a prototype for the market women to see and know how it looks like. We went around to some engineering firms to help us, and we realized that the amount involved was too high for us to pay. Then he said no, he could use normal woods and then aluminium foil to build the prototype we wanted. So he built a prototype out of that, the wood, the aluminium foil lining in. Then he came up with a sensor and then a control board.
Okay.
Where the control board is fed with the temperature required for the specific.
So the reason why you were
commodity.
lining the inside of the container is to allow for the temperature in to be sustained.
Yes.
Okay.
And then temperature can't come
also
in
come in because
from-
there's going to be space between the lining and then the main container,
Yeah.
which will serve as some sort of insulator.
Yeah, we realized that wood is quite a very good insulator.
Yeah.
It's very good when it comes to keeping cold temperature, especially. So the sensors are in the compartment and then the control board outside. So it's fed with the required, every fruit has a required temperature it carries. So we were trying with tomatoes, which is our main target because tomatoes spores more than any other fruit.
It's very, very perishable.
Yeah, it's within some short period of time you get your tomatoes spoiling. So we fed our control board with a temperature for tomato which was between 12 to 14 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And then the sensors, what the sensors do is, because the tomatoes
So that 12 to 14
Yeah.
degrees Celsius is going to be like the temperature at which the tomato can last longer.
can last longer. It doesn't ripe at that. When it gets to that temperature, the chemical component that causes ripe in tomatoes doesn't work because it can't operate under that temperature.
That temperature.
So it keeps it normal as it is for a longer period of time. So what the sensors does is when the tomato is sent into the facility, it picks the temperature at that point. And then on the control board, you see the temperature reading to a certain level. Mostly it's very high because of how it went through the sun, very hot. So after the compartment is locked, the temperature begins to
cool down.
And it goes step by step. So it doesn't harm the fruit or vegetable in the compartment. So we ran examples of it on the Agbogboleshi market, which the prototype is still there as at now.
Oh, wow.
And it really worked.
All right.
It
So
really worked.
what you are saying is that when the tomato is brought into the container, if the temperature of the tomato then is high, the system will bring it down slowly until it attains some form of a thermal equilibrium.
Yes.
Then at that point,
It stays.
it sustains it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also found out that at that temperature, it prevents the tomato from further ripening.
Yeah. We found out that from research and then literature available because we did more reading. We had to read
Of course.
into it. So from literature, and lucky enough, we had the lady on our team studied agribusiness, so has a good agricultural background from Legon. So
That's
she
Ogwebi Osei Mensah.
Yeah, so she feeds us with such information. With there are various varieties.
What
of
did she
tomatoes.
study in Legon?
Agribusiness.
Agribusiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she feeds us with the various varieties of tomatoes, how they look like, and the kind of temperature that is required to extend the shelf life.
Okay.
So with that help, the engineer is also knows how to tweak his work to fit that requirements.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And how did the market women accept this technology? Did they just accept it, or you had to, because I know how our people are to technology.
After speaking to them before bringing a prototype, they were so enthused about it. They were ready to accept it. But the day the prototype landed, the few we had all pre-arranged with that we would test with them became a bit reluctant in bringing their commodity because they didn't want to lose what they had. They felt, what if you test and it doesn't work?
It doesn't work, yeah.
That was it. But after several education and talking to them, we all came to an agreement, and some decided to put in their commodities, and they testified good to it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it means even after your prototype has worked, you still need some kind of marketing that can convince these end users to fall in love with your product and then use it. How has acceptability been for you? I know how we are when it comes to technology and how we accept them. Sometimes it takes a lot to convince very conservative people on new technologies. How has it been for you?
Unfortunately, the academic elites, some of these market women, people sometimes think all of them maybe didn't go to school or something. Yeah, nice. But there are some who are well educated.
Among them who are educated.
Acceptance with such people is very easy for them to understand your concept and know what you are going about. One thing that nearly worried us was communication barrier, we find a way to break that. But it takes a long time for the one who, let me say, excuse my word to say, the illiterates, to really understand what you are talking about. Because all they are about is, I want to buy my commodity, sell it, and make my money. So the way
I think they've gotten used to the fact that they know there's no storage, so they buy just enough to sell.
So even those who buy just a box of it, from the very first day, the price of the tomatoes are very expensive, comparing to how much they bought it from the aggregator. They sell it at a higher price because they know as the day goes, they would have to reduce. Yeah, they would have to reduce. So that is how they find a way in balancing their money. So it's either they break even or they make a little profit.
Oh, okay.
So they were kind of comfortable with such practice, but it takes education. More, you have to keep talking to them, reassuring them of how good the solution is. And I think it cuts across not even just the market women. With our colleagues who were doing something on the farm, had to keep educating the farmers.
We will come to that level as well. Because we are still with so is that the prototype of your device?
Okay. It looks just as the prototype, just exactly. But the part with the fan, we had it fixed
in there.
So you don't see it separated.
Okay.
Just something similar like
so this. It works like a heat sink. I studied engineering, thermodynamics in school, so it works like a heat sink. What does that? Pulls out the warm air outside and then pumps in cool air to ensure the coldness in there. Okay.
What it does is it sucks the heat that is initially in it is brought out, like you just said. It sucks out the heat and then keeps
the temperature really cool. Okay, that's wonderful. So let's go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we shall go as far back into the farm to see the kind of technologies and the kind of education we are also giving to the farmers out there to understand that there are new ways of doing things. Our forefathers did subsistence farming, that's farming a little to feed their families. Now, if you go to the developed worlds, they are doing farming on a very large scale to feed the whole country and also to export some for forex exchange. Let's go for this short commercial break. When we come back, we will delve more into this topic of the role of ICT in agribusiness.
Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook.
Gakpeto. I love your name, Gakpeto. It comes with some kind of power. So Mr. Gakpeto has been running us through this beautiful technology for storing farm produce. You know, one of the biggest challenges we have in this country is the fact that, despite the fact that we are not producing enough to feed ourselves and also export, we end up losing most of our produce to one, bad roads and lack of storage facilities to store these produce, you know, to last longer for us to even consume and sell some to the outside world. Now, this group called the Thermostore have come up with this beautiful technology to store the farm produce, especially tomatoes. Sometimes we even import tomatoes from as far back as Burkina Faso. Yeah. And they get here and they get, you know, rotten easily, and the farm market women have to sell tomatoes at very expensive prices simply because of the fear of losing some of the tomatoes they've already bought. So I'm really in love with this idea. This technology is beautiful. I wish we will support it to the latter. So Mr. Gakpeto, there's this theory in let's say engineering or science that energy can never be created nor destroyed. Right. It can only be transformed from one source or one form to another. And there's no perpetual motion machine, which means there can never be a machine that is there that there's nothing powering it. Yeah. This device, and you also know that in this country, power is an issue. How are you powering it? Is it also dependent on Akosombo, our national grid? And what of places where electricity is not readily available? How are you powering this prototype?
So, currently, we ran the prototype for a while on electricity, but it is designed to run on solar. Okay. That is the technology we are adding to it, aside all other technology. That's the main technology. Because we've realized that we have a lot of sunshine in the country.
Exactly.
And we can generate a lot of power from that. So instead of relying on the national grid, which is not stable for business, anytime lights could go off and come back, we decided to design our projects around solar, because we are looking at the fact that when as a reverse integration, when we get to the farm, what if the farm is away from where there's no electricity? So it must run on solar. So
Exactly.
it's basically solar.
Wow.
We
And are you receiving some form of assistance from government? Because I think I overheard the energy minister on one of these radio stations this week that in Accra, that I think it was specifically on Asasi Radio.
Okay.
When he was talking about the fact that renewable energy is very expensive, like the solar, because getting the photo cells alone, I know it's very expensive.
The batteries are even more expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah, the batteries are very expensive.
And he also mentioned that because of the expensive nature of it and the fact that it helps the nation more so to fight global climate menace, it is right for government to support in the field of renewable energy. Are you receiving any form of support from government?
Currently, we are not receiving any form of support, but we seek to still push to receive some form of support, because aside the fact that there's a business the young ones out of school that's bringing it to go a long way to help the country, where we wouldn't have to be importing almost 70% of the tomatoes we consume in this country, almost close to 70%. And the market availability for tomatoes is quite huge, that if we take this technology so serious and we get their support, I think farmers will be ready to even farm. Most farmers shun from farming some of this early perishable fruits and vegetables because of storage. But if the supports come in, we'll push to get support from government, and would stand on their own words. Yeah, because if you want to really appeal to the conscience of people as what they believe in. So since they believe renewable energy could help, we would still push to get that support.
Yeah, because I believe that's what will make it relevant in the rural areas. Because we are in Accra, we think electricity is almost all the time available, but in the rural areas, that's going to be a very big hindrance. So I'm happy you mentioned the renewable energy. Apart from storage in our market centers, we'll come back to storage.
Okay.
Let's go as far back as from the market, from the farm.
Okay.
What other technologies are there for the farmers to explore, and then to help them to also, better produce their yield, to make them last longer?
Okay. So let me begin from highly commercial farmers. Then I come to the normal peasant farmers. One problem they really face is availability to water or rainfall throughout the year. But thank God there's greenhouse farming, which can help you farm 12 months in a year. It's one of the available technologies that really help, especially even vegetables and fruit farmers. Yeah, it helps them farm within the year. They go on and on and on. So there's a company called Tech Shelter. They are basically into greenhouse farming, and they have a very nice greenhouse village in the Ebri, which anyone could go there, learn from them, and then they help you. So not that they just set up the greenhouse, but they have technology attached to it where you can control whatever goes on in your greenhouse from your mobile phone.
Oh wow!
So aside that, on our normal farmers who wouldn't want to go to greenhouse, being able to know the adequate water a plant needs, and then the exact time the plant is supposed to get water is one difficulty to do as humans. So they resort to, we water early in the morning and then late in the evening. But thank God to technology, there's another team that is dealing with this technology where they have this micro sensors in the soil, which sends signals to a control system that triggers, opens and closes a pump that pumps water to the farm.
Wow, so it means that device checks the humidity. In the ground to know at this level we need to replenish the water in the ground.
Yes.
Wow.
So these are some of the technologies that our farmers could seek to. Coming to the rice farmers, where they have to stand on the farm and shout, sucking the birds because
the birds feed on the rice.
There's another company called iScarecrow,
Okay.
who has this whole system that you don't have to be there. The moment the birds are coming, it's more or less like sensors are helping us. AI and then IoT is really
Yeah.
working because
Exactly.
that is what the world is moving towards. So
I not to cut you. I think I watched a documentary of a boy in Kenya who also had they had a problem in Kenya. You know, Kenya has a lot of lions
okay,
around, and they are animal rearers. You know, they rear cattle and goat and sheep, and almost every night lions come into their farm to
feed on.
devour or to feed on the animals. So this young boy developed a technology. I watched, I think MIT, he was on TED Talk also, yeah, TED Talk, and it was a big one. This young boy developed this technology to to pick sensors when the lions are coming at night, and then there will be lights that will light up around the fence.
Okay.
And it scares the lion to think
Lions.
that there are
Okay,
people
there are
around,
people
so
around.
they run away.
Wow.
And it was really good. You know, technology is not supposed to be that big.
Yeah.
No, technology is just anything that makes work easy. And I'm glad that you guys are, exploring it beautifully to help. So let's come to you mentioned the greenhouse.
Yeah.
How effective is the greenhouse compared to traditionally how our farmers farm?
One, pest control. It's easier to control pests in the greenhouse farming than on the open field. It has even little to less pest affecting the crops. You use less water as compared to open farming. So not that much water because the lines feed the crops as how they are placed.
You use enough water as you need.
Enough water, yes, not excess.
Yes, not
Yeah,
excess.
because our conventional farmers would want to see the land soaked before they say, okay, there's water in the land, it's enough.
But this one, the moment the sensor picks it up that
Yeah.
you have enough water, it goes off.
Yeah. And you can farm
throughout the whole
the
year.
whole
You
year.
don't have to wait for the rains.
No, you
It
don't
doesn't
need the
affect.
season to farm. So it makes it more profitable using the greenhouse, though it's a bit expensive starting. It's like a one-time investment, but you reap more than doing farm on an open land.
Are our farmers being educated properly on this? Because I believe that with that also, it controls how much we use land.
Yes.
Are our farmers been getting enough education in this?
So it's one thing is like I was saying earlier, our conventional farmers, our traditional farmers, it takes a lot, just like the market women, it takes a lot of education to convince them to understand us. But fortunately, when you go to Dorinya, the Dorinya irrigation area,
Project, yeah.
they have this site for greenhousing. And during the KIC time we visited, it's a very nice place where they allow farmers come in. They teach you about greenhousing, and then if you want to go into it, they help you set up. Those who also just want to go and rent, aside them, Tech Shelter is also running similar thing as a private entity. Dorinya is under the government's control, but Tech Shelter is open to anyone.
Anyone?
At any time you could go to
Because
them.
I think our farmers work too hard. Even my mom is a farmer anyway. Shout out to my mother in Abodom. She's a farmer anyway. And even where the farm is, where you have to walk to get to your farm, by the time you get there, you are tired already. So how much work can you even do?
That's it.
And the risk involved in walking through the sun, falling sick, snake bites, and all that. I believe with enough education, don't you think our farmers will catch on to it? Because
Yes.
I know, we don't like change. We don't like too much technology. But if they get to understand the benefits of it, they will go
I
in.
think with enough education, it all has to do with education. You see, if the knowledge is not available, then people think of impossibility. There are certain things I came to discover after having knowledge of them. Years back, I will tell you, this thing can't work. It's not possible. Like farming in your room. Yeah, the
People farm in their rooms in Europe.
they have a name for it. They farm in their room. There's one group who is doing that. They have this system they designed for you, and then just in the corner of your room, you could farm throughout the whole year. You don't need soil. They have a special water. Their name is what is escaping me. We all went through KIC. They were in mine. So initially, years back, if you tell me I could plant carrots in my room without soil,
no.
I'll tell you it's not possible.
It's a lie.
But the moment you're exposed to the knowledge and you realize that no, this is possible, then you go to, that is one of the biggest technology Israel is relying on, because Israel has most of their land as rocks.
Yeah, rocks and deserts.
So, but Israel plants more than even Ghana.
Yeah, I think Israel is one of the leading
when it comes to agriculture.
Flowers.
Yeah, this is one of the systems they are relying on to farm.
One other thing, another strategy. Don't you think if our agric engineers, agric scientists who have been to the university quit trying to get jobs in banks and then actually go to the villages to also establish farms and then do it the way they have been taught in school and get better yield? And the village folks see what Kojo Menu, who went to university, has come to do. They will try to learn it like a trade. Don't you think that method can also work? When they see it by example, you are not telling them. So you go and then you do it. And then they see how you did it. And they come to you to learn.
It's not even about thinking it could work. It would work. Because people believe in, see, they say seeing is believing.
Of course.
So a lot of these farmers want to see. Even if you go, especially even the cocoa farmers, if you follow, you go to them with a new fertilizer, they want to see you apply it. So they have this demonstration farms where you have to demonstrate what you've brought to them. So that is what the extension officers do
I
to
know,
our
because
farmers.
they use most of our graduates as extension officers to go and teach, which makes the work more difficult because the person is only going to tell them how to do it. Okay, I'll probably demonstrate. But they would like to see somebody actually implementing it on his own farm, and the person getting more yield, and then the rest of the people coming up to come and ask, how did you do it? And then you tell them, and then they will learn. Don't you think that method will also work?
It would perfectly work, but it also comes back to finance. You see, we are in a part of the world where getting investment for a very laudable idea is quite difficult. People are reluctant in putting their money into even good ideas. Everyone wants to have it for themselves. And our governments over the years haven't really helped us. No single one of it have helped.
But we always hear beautiful policies. For instance, I read this year that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, MOFA, Information, Communications and Technology Unit, has implemented the e-agriculture program, which is an ICT initiative through the West African Agriculture Productivity Program, WAP, with funds from World Bank. You see, when I read things like this, I'm happy. But I tend to ask, where did these funds go? How are they being implemented? And if you read further on, it says the program covers all aspects of agriculture in Ghana with focus on crops, livestock, vegetable production, which would have funded your side because you are vegetable production. Why should Ghana, beautiful soil, go import vegetable from Burkina Faso, almost a desert? I don't get it. So if the program covers vegetable production and gender, and the main objective of the e-agriculture program is to provide affordable, prompt and efficient agricultural services delivery through the use of internet and information communication and technology. If these measures are there from government, why are we not seeing the impact? Because we are using all our land for farming, and because of this, we no longer have any virgin forest.
Not to cut you short, this is what I have always held on to over the years, that all these funds come in and they end up with our old folks who are holding leadership positions. So you end up seeing maybe a farm that is solely IC control, and then you go back to look for the owner.
Because I see a lot of Land Cruisers with Ministry of Health, Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Land Cruiser, like the farm is in the village. Why are we even buying Land Cruiser? You go back and then
you find out it's for
farming.
One chief director in the ministry, one chief director somewhere.
But the job they ground.
And the young ones are still struggling to make it up there. And that is where we as
Because
the
I
youth-
believe the cost of one Land Cruiser can build many of these greenhouses
Sure.
that you are talking about
Sure.
to improve health. I mean yield.
You see, I don't know, but I believe our leaders travel. They see,
Yeah, of course.
they experience.
Of course.
But to duplicate such in our country, I
See,
don't know
in
what.
China, if I tell you that China they don't eat canned food, will you believe me?
Okay, I've read on China
They don't eat.
going fresh. And
Yeah,
green,
they are fresh. They don't even eat processed food. Everything they eat is straight from the farm, and they are eating it. It means they are producing enough. You know, it's sad. What can we are young people, okay? What can we do on our own terms? Probably leadership has failed from Kwame Nkrumah's time. I'm not taking anyone out. Probably leadership has failed. What can we do as young people to also, in our own way, jump onto this technology and farming, you know, to improve yield and all that? Because food is a basic need.
Yeah.
It's a physiological need, and we need food to even sit and then do greater and mighty things. What can we do?
First of all, I would say networking. We'd have to build great networks of young people, devoid of political, nothing political.
No political sentiments.
No political sentiments. We come together apolitical with a mindset of building ourselves in the various sectors. Maybe if across the agricultural chain is agriculture. So whoever is interested in agriculture, I know there are a lot of young guys out there.
Honestly, I've tried entering into agriculture several times, but the truth of the matter is I lack enough knowledge in it. So that's the only thing that brings me back.
Yeah, so that is one thing about it. It's about building a team. It's always about a team. If the team is not solid, the idea it can't be run with one person. Let me use myself as an example now. Out of KIC, where we're still looking for funds, I still have to survive. So I started a business in the beverage sector where I do yogurts, probiotic yogurts. Initially, it was only me. And I have to do deliveries. You have to do follow backs to get feedback to improve your product because you still want to sell. Every day you have to think about how do I market my product. But I came back to looking at KIC where I had a team and we could divide the task. Okay, you do this, you take charge of research, you go to the market, and it's not one person. Then I really appreciated the fact that teamwork really helps. One person can't be a house of all knowledge.
Of course.
So you need other people on board. But you see, another thing that prevents people from bringing team is trust. We can hardly trust ourselves in this part of the world. And when some people even come on board, they want to be the owners of the whole thing. But one thing I have learned that is taking me is I would rather want to be a 20% partner of something that is really working than having 100% of something that is not working.
Beautifully done.
That is the mindset we, the youth, have to put on. That you don't have to be called
The CEO.
the CEO to be a part of it.
Sure.
So, example of Thermostor. Not to say I brought the idea, but the idea was built on something I shared. But I didn't come out to say I want to be the team lead. That is one thing we lack as youth. Everyone is yearning to be seen on top, but we don't want to do what will take us there. Going through the stress that will take us on top is what a lot of us want to restrain from. But it takes the zeal and then our education system in the university. I always give thanks to my HOD for
Head of department.
yeah, he being a part of who I am now. There was one time he came to class, having studied the kind of person I am from conversations we have. He came to class and he was like, Fano, I know you are struggling to get first class. You really want to make a first class. But after making first class, you kill all other dreams you have. Go out there and explore extracurricular activities. And that has made me who I am.
And that's a very good advice right there.
Going to student leadership, it exposed me to a lot of people where I network, and then you get people to, when you have fruitful conversations, you get people to tell you what is happening and what you can do to improve yourself. And taking those conversations seriously has brought me where I am. So I think just last week I also decided to start. Every Thursday I get 6 friends who are really interested. We go on WhatsApp video, that we put a particular topic down and we discuss into details.
Like what we are even doing right now.
Yes. These are conversations we want to see on our televisions. The telenovelas are too much.
I tell you.
We really have to reduce them now. And then put things that would transform the thinking of the youth. It's about the mindset. If the mindset is changed towards success and we start yearning for success, we start moving towards what we would do to be successful. Being successful is not about owning 100 cars, but making an impact where people feel your presence. Your absence becomes problem for people. That is what we can measure as success. So it's about changing our mindset as young ones who want to come out of the university and then seen in luxury cars,
exactly,
being called managing directors and other stuff.
Boss.
I still want to give myself as an example. Before I ended my service, I had my first job to be a programs manager in an NGO in Kwewu. I worked there for 6 months. And it has always been on my heart from my 3rd year that after 2 years of completing school, I need to start something on my own. So I had to come down and then think. It was a hard decision to take.
I know.
And to make it up there, you really have to make the very hard decisions. The decisions that you feel, no, if I do this, it's death on my end, are the decisions that will take you to places. Sometimes I sit back and I'm like, it's worth taking some decisions.
Yeah, risk.
You
don't
have to
take risk,
it.
you haven't lived.
Yes, you really have to take the risk. In the agri sector, it's not that's, I don't know, I'm lacking the right word to explain it. But it's not just like I go into it, I put some seed on the ground, it comes out and then I'm yielding.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work.
Attention.
It needs a lot of thinking. It needs a lot of reading and learning. And it's where Ghana should be building its backbone. Rwanda now is relying on technology. Ghana as a country now,
what are we relying on?
We don't really know what exactly is the backbone of the country. But I believe it's
agriculture. We claim to say it's agriculture. But we are not doing enough in that. If we say Ghana's backbone or the backbone of our economy is agriculture, why are we still importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso? You know, the mere fact that we are still importing so much rice. Just, was it last year or this year that they started the Eat Ghana Rice campaign? Yeah. Where has it gotten to? Are we still having it, or it was just a 9-day wonder? And we are no longer pursuing that. So how do we conscientize the minds of even our farmers? Now let's come to our farmers. How do we conscientize them for them to accept that technology really works? Okay, because if you go to, I've watched so many documentaries on Kenya and how they transformed their technology, their agriculture with just simple GSM phones. I'm not even talking about the Android phone. Simple GSM, USSD, how they even transact the whole agriculture agribusiness, buying food, produce and all that on just a GSM. Okay. How do we also inculcate such technologies into our own agriculture so that the farmers who are producing, before their produce are even ripe or harvested, they know that this produce on the farm, after it is sold, this is how much I'm going to make, and they actually make it. Okay. So before I even come to the actual question with the farmers, I would want to say, first of all, I want our universities to start this cross-departmental projects. Beautiful.
In the final year. So you get agric students and then the computer science students or the engineering students coming together to work on the projects. So from there, they are funded a little funds, project funds, go and try it on maybe...
to me, that's the ideal way to teach entrepreneurs.
A little village, go and try it on the farmers. Let's see the shortcomings and then let's correct them. There, in every community, having worked at Kwewu East, where I was working with the NGO, I realized that every community had focus group for farmers. They had their individual groups. The plantain farmers had their groups. The vegetable farmers had their small groups. So in meeting them, you just need to find the opinion leaders. They lead you to the leaders, and then they put all these people together. And though sometimes it's difficult getting them come together, but as soon as the leaders buy into what you are bringing, they get all their members together and you speak to them.
Wow.
So it's not that it's difficult getting farmers together. In the communities, all the over 40 something, going to 100 communities in the Kwahu East, where I happen to have gone to all of them had this focus groups.
But do we have enough technology companies or entities in Ghana spearheading this? Or the farmers are ready, but technology is not ready? Is that the case?
I believe the farmers are ready.
Okay.
And
but is technology
it's about
ready?
technology. Some technology is ready, but it's left to deployment. How do we start? And it's all about funds. It comes back to funds.
Because I know companies like Isoko and even Vodafone have a lot of, idea or technologies in farming, but is the implementation going good?
For those who have the capital, for Vodafone, sometimes you see documentaries of their implementation going good on some projects they are doing. But it comes back to the fact that can they serve the whole country? No. They need more hands. So Vodafone alone can't do it. Isoko alone can't do it. Every year in Israel, they have more than 1,000 agri-tech startups coming up. And then they've come to the conclusion where they fund the startups to become big companies. Isoko started from somewhere. And then it's where they are now. So I think this is where, even if not the smaller ones, the companies who use agri-products produced from the farm for their products should look at where does our produce come from. One thing we lack is traceability. So everyone consumes anything. They bring you the sardine, you don't even know where they got the fish from.
There's no traceability anyway.
So if these people take the traceability serious, go back to the farmers who farm these fingerlings and say, no, your conventional way of doing it is a cake. This is the new technology. We buy from you, we are investing, and then we take this percentage from how we buy from you. I think it's a way to start. And then from there, the smaller ones can also say, okay, since this company is doing this, we also have this idea, let's partner. Partnership is one thing we lack in our country. Everyone wants to own it and they don't want to partner. So if we all start opening our minds to the fact that we have to develop, though leadership have failed us, we're also failing ourselves now.
Exactly.
And it's time we come to that realization that no, it would get to a time. I think COVID-19 has been the best teacher for us to see that when harbors and ports are being closed down, and if it could have gotten to the fact that we are not even importing. Food is not coming. We have to produce.
No, they never closed the borders. I mean, for the ports.
Yeah.
Whilst they were closing human traveling, they said, "Oh, as for food goods and service, goods can come in."
It should tell us that there's a big gap.
There's a big gap,
which we have to wake up to. I refuse choosing agriculture as a course. I remember my uncle telling me, add agric to your program, and I was like, no.
It's because of the kind of stigma attached to it. You see, if you go to school, the agric students are seen some way, and I don't blame our people because of the way our minds have been tuned to know that if you're a farmer, they even call them farmers. It's not like farming is a bad profession, but the way our perception towards the whole farming profession.
And even if you carry our Institute of Higher Education brochure, cutoff points, in KNUST when I was going to school, agri cutoff point was 24. So any students, especially science students, will tell you, so are you trying to tell me I'm not a good student to choose a cutoff point of 24?
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So if we are making it look lucrative like medicine, people will really start seeing that no, there's something here. People want to do medicine. I tell you, I've known a lot of medical students who are not in the medical school because they have
Because
passion.
they want to be doctors.
They see it as a noble profession.
Yeah, it's noble. I mean, it's high. You chose a course which the GP, I mean, the aggregate to enter is maybe,
and people
I guess,
see them
6.
to be, these people are studying. But I have spent time in the College of Health Science, and comparing to my colleague, I had a very close friend who did agric, and
It's very involving.
he majored in agric mechanics. So looking at his course schedule, when I was studying 6 courses for my last semester, I was still doing 8.
Yeah, agric is one of the most difficult courses in the university.
And he had to study across all
fields. They do agric economics, they do business management, they are into law, they do almost everything because you have to understand.
So it's time we start packaging agriculture as it should be, because it has cocoa from Tete Kwasi's time. And now you hear of a cocoa farmer, and you compare that cocoa farmer to someone working in the bank, even a normal bank teller. You could see a very big difference. So someone would not want to be associated to a cocoa farmer. I don't want to be called a cocoa farmer. I'd rather be called a banker. I'm working at EcoBank. I'm working at Stanbic Bank. But if you look at the money the cocoa farmer is generating, it's because of the lack of little education. And I think it is changing gradually, but we need more education.
Good. Let me read this report from World Bank report. It says, all over the world, information and communication technologies have become increasingly important in all aspects of our daily life and work. In its last report, Digital Dividends, the World Bank states digital technologies, the internet, mobile phones, and all other tools to collect, store, analyze, and share information digitally have spread quickly. More households in developing countries own mobile phones than they have access to electricity and clean water. That's serious. So you go to the north in Ghana, they may not even have clean water and electricity, but they have mobile phone. And nearly 70% of the bottom fifth of the population in developing countries own a mobile phone. 70% of the bottom fifth. The number of internet users has also more than tripled in a decade, from 1 billion in 2005 to an estimated 3.2 billion at the end of 2015. You see, let's look at the statistics produced by the World Bank report, talking about the growth of ICT and how people are using mobile phones now. You know, telcos have capitalized on the fact that now you can use your mobile phone in the finance sector, bringing on board mobile money and all that. How can we also use or capitalize on the fact that people are now getting used to mobile phones? And now every farmer going to the farm at least has a phone, probably even a yam phone, even if it's a yam phone. And how can we, with the Kenyan, idea, bring some kind of technology that will help the farmer, even on the farm, receive some information that will still help the farmer on the farm to increase yield and productivity? Okay,
so let me cite an example. There was a team on the KIC called Athena. So they had a technology in the drone sector where they deployed their drone. It takes pictures of the farm and then it could translate it into information using some form of technology, and they could tell the farmer, okay, this section of your farm needs water, this section has this infection, so do A, B, C, D to it, and then that information is just sent back through text message. There was another team who were also using sensors for that same purpose. So the farmer, just not even a smartphone, your normal phones we call the YAM
phones,
they could just
GSM.
They could just get those information simply, maybe from a short code or others. So there are youths who are coming up with the ideas, but it's left with the support, which I think what KIC is doing is great, but the Ministry of Agriculture should give them the backing. If KIC can't fund all, the ministry should also look at funding some. I think we can't leave all other sectors, but agriculture should be something we focus on. Planting for food and jobs. When I read the policy documents, was a great policy.
Very
but
great policy.
after 3.5 years now, I really can't see its great impact as I envisioned when it started. So that is the problem. We can put good policies on paper, but deployment becomes an issue. So it's about the support, and then we seeing the future from today. That it would get to a time we have to feed ourselves. We can't rely on the Western world and other countries too.
Assuming because of the COVID, now the Western world decided that we are no longer shipping rice to Africa.
I don't think we have even much rice to feed us ourselves. We talk about eating made in Ghana rice. If importation of rice is supposed to be closed today, I think within 6 months we would go short, we'll go out of rice because we don't have much rice farms.
That's serious.
We don't have much rice.
But we have lands.
There are lands, vast lands, that even people are fighting over.
What is wrong with us? You see, this is a question I've asked several people. Sometimes I want to know what is wrong with us. Is it like we don't understand that we don't know where to put, how to locate our mouth, to put the most important things or what?
You see, okay, I think we know our problems. Right from primary school, even governance, you'll be asked what is the cause of a country not developing.
We
write in exams. We've listed in exams. Why I have marked most of it. So it should tell us that we know our problem. For our problem, we know it very well. Now, when it comes to solving,
we know the solution.
We know the problem and the solution.
But how to implement the solution?
You see, I don't want to sound, but I have to say it as it is. That I'm beginning to feel Africans are more lazy than we think. Or we like to do ourselves harm than we don't love ourselves. Because you get Africans moving to the Western world
and they work really hard.
They perform so hard. And when they come back here,
it's like a disica.
You really don't understand. It's about, I believe it's about our mindset. Like Kwame Nkrumah said, though slavery has ended, but we are still enslaved in our mind.
Of course, it's a natural psychological phenomenon.
So we need that freedom from slavery, the psychological slavery, for us to see that no, we have the resources, and we can do far better than the people we are relying on. Because we do cocoa here, and apart from golden tree chocolate and niche, all other cocoa products comes from the Western world. We mine gold, and we don't even have a refinery here. The jewelries have to come from another country, so they are making more money than we are doing. Oil.
We have oil.
We talk about siting an oil refinery, and apart from Tema Oil Refinery,
Tema Oil Refinery doesn't even refine the oil that is mined here in Ghana.
That's so. It's
like let me say it again. Maybe you didn't get it. Tema Oil Refinery doesn't even refine the Ghana's oil. So we send Ghana's oil somewhere to be refined, and then we buy crude oil from somewhere for Tema Oil Refinery to refine. I can't get it, but I don't want us to talk about it on this platform. It's quite interesting. Folks, we are learning a lot. He's mentioned a lot about the fact that it is always good to own 20% of a business that is making profit than to own 100% of a business that is not making profit. And he's also talked about a lot of technologies that can be implemented right here at home to boost the yield on the farms. And when we talk of technology, we are not talking about the high-end, really sophisticated technology. We are talking about even simple GSM technologies. We are talking about simple technologies that can be placed on farms, to just water the farm without hassle, without human beings themselves going there to go and water the farms. Let's go for this short commercial break. When we come back, we shall look at some of the projects that Thermostore is already embarked on, and they are also embarking on. We shall also talk further about how simple technologies can improve yield and growth. See you.
Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable.
A time with CEO. My name is Tato Kwame Force, and CEO of Create Concept, and I'm here with Mr. Gakpeto. This name, I had a friend called Kajepo. Oh, he's in the United States right now, so that's what came to mind. But Mr.
I think Fano will do it.
Fano, I love the other one too. It's heavy. I had a mate also called Fano. So Mr. Fano, let's talk about some of the projects that your establishment, as a thermal store, has already undertaken. And then after before you even talk about it, let's go and see this short video about some of your projects before we come to you for you to talk about them.
It started from considering the fact that they needed enough space. This is a very voluminous product. I mean, looking at how big these crates are, the question is, how do they develop a solution that is able to take space and also ensure that they manage the cost that is passed on into the vegetable sellers, i.e. the tomato sellers. So I'm very much impressed. Although this is the prototype, it looks very promising.
Right. So going forward, what do you think could be done in order to make it better, and also having the cost, as you said, in mind, to reduce the cost to put a lot of money in the packet of the tomatoes?
Yeah, so going forward, this is a prototype. They need to scale. Okay, how do you do that in a very innovative way? For me, it requires a lot more research and development. They need to look around a bit more to see what has been done in other parts of the world and how that can be infused into what they have done. Okay, there are certain areas I'm very impressed, considering where this whole idea started from. Considering the fact that they needed enough space. This is a very voluminous product. I mean, looking at how big these crates are, the question is, how do they develop a solution that is able to take space and also ensure that they manage the cost that is passed on into to the vegetable sellers, i.e. the tomato sellers. So I'm very much impressed. Although this is the prototype, it is very promising.
Right. So going forward, what do you think could be done in order to make it, better, and also, having the cost, as you said, in mind, to reduce the cost to put a lot of money in the packet of the tomatoes?
Yeah, so going forward, this is a prototype. They need to scale. Okay, how do you do that in a very innovative way? For me, it requires a lot more research and development. They need to look around a bit more to see what has been done in other parts of the world and how that can be infused into what they have done. Okay, there are certain areas I'm very impressed.
CEO. I have a lot of questions over here. I'll try and go through a few of them just so that we can continue the discussion and then probably wrap up. From Godiwan Dazi, he says, count me into this, sir. I'm very interested in agriculture. I think if those in our instructions on how to use the ICT in agriculture, they will love their jobs and more people will get into it. Where I come from, I think almost 50% of the people over there living on agriculture. How do we get you and your people to teach us more about greenhouse farming? This is to Mr. Gakweto.
Okay, so Tech Shelter has a website.
Okay.
So they can go TTL or they can just type in Tech Shelter.
Tech Shelter.
On Google. It would lead them to Tech Shelter and what they do. And maybe, I don't know, but I don't know if I could put one of their coordinators' contact out because it's a private contact of the person.
Okay, then let's get to talk to the coordinator, and then once it's confirmed, you give it to us. We will put it out there for anyone who is interested in entering into, the greenhouse farming. I think I'm also interested because it is very productive. I've seen it done elsewhere in other parts of the world. So let's look at another question from Mr. Philip Standish-White, and he's speaking from the United Kingdom. He says the use of ICT is sharing information is very important in enhancing farming productivity among farmers. However, little is known on the linkage that exists between the use of ICT and farming in Ghana. The stakeholders must be willing to intensify the use of ICT in agriculture. Relying on the existing traditional farming systems is not enough. Well done, guys. So this is from Mr. Standish-White from the United Kingdom. And then we have Mr. Angel. He says, it all comes back to education and funds. Comment on this.
It's really true. Like I've been saying, it's about the education and the funds. When you have the knowledge and you are willing to do it, now it's left with what will push you. And that's the funds to do it. Without the funds, people get frustrated. The idea is there. They really want to establish the idea, but the money to
the Famicor is not there.
Not there.
I understand. And another one from Mr. Lai says, Mr. Gakweto, please, how often do you and your team go to educate the farmers in the villages?
So unlike COVID-19 and during our very active times in establishing the project, we had our targets in the market women who are dealing in agri-products. So we go to them and speak to them on a regular basis. We talk to them, get ideas from them because these are the people you are working with. Others who are working with the farmers, where I could talk of iScarecrow, who are working directly with farmers, are most often with farmers. There is another Prosect Feed. They are using larvae from soldier flies to produce protein substrate for poultry feeds. They are always in touch with poultry farmers. So like the cohorts and other cohorts in KIC, we are always in touch with the people we are working with, because if you're having a viable business as a client that brings in the money, so if you're not in touch with them, then you are not really running a business. So that's it. But if it comes to maybe a corporate social responsibility, I think these are startups and we are not there yet. So the least we get, we speak to the people we are working with and educate them on our solution.
Okay, so let's come back to the Thermo store. You and your organization. At this moment, if there's someone watching us and is an investor and is looking to, put in money into this to make sure that it becomes a reality, which areas do you think you really need help with?
Okay, so we want to expand what we have now. The what was shown is what we have operational, but
that is a prototype.
That's a prototype, and I say now it's even running like a normal.
Like a normal one. How much does it cost to develop one prototype? That's if you can share with us.
Okay,
it gives the investor an idea as to how much to invest. Okay. Let's say I want to get prototypes to about 100 markets around Ghana.
Okay, so we want to build. If we want to really build to serve the markets, it should be something bigger than the prototype. So in establishing one facility, from our estimation, with the solar it's going to run on, should cost nothing less than $35,000
per one.
Per one.
Okay, $35,000. And if you look at the return on investment,
so
ROI,
this is a business that pays itself with the kind of business it is. It's not a business where always you have to buy logistics and produce something. It's you running a service, and the more food comes to the market.
Is it cheap or expensive for the market sellers to keep their?
It's okay for them, not to say cheap or expensive, because we coming out with our price to for them to pay a night was together. We had to discuss it. We as a team had 10 cedis in our mind, and that is what we gave out to them. But later on, they came back saying, no, 10 cedis is expensive. So if, for instance, a 40-feeder, if I really recall my figures well, a 40-feeder could take close to more than 200 of the crates.
Okay.
So if you are storing 200 times 5 CD per night.
So it was like initially like 10 cedis per night?
Yeah, but we had to cut down to meet. It should be a mutual understanding with the client and then us. It's not always about we wanting to make money, so we're imposing on them. If you impose on them and they don't accept it, you are going off business.
Of course.
So per the agreement we had, we came down to 5 cedis. So if 200 times 5 every night, that is 1,000 cedis. If I'm if my calculation is right, that is 1,000 cedis a night, and it comes in. That is the minimum storage of it. So if we are expanding over that, we per our financial projections, we should break even in a year and a half.
Is this something the Agric ministry or some organization can fund just as a way of also supporting market women? Yes. Because in as much as to me, I think every invention should support the people socio-economically.
Yeah.
So economically, okay, is this something you also advocate for market? I mean, the governments and other private entities to come on board to, as it were, subsidize this for the market women.
Yes. So this is as part of our expansion. How we would want to expand. We are looking at either partnership or franchise, or we establish for you, you own it, and we manage it for you. So these are the 3 ways we want to expand.
Okay.
So anyone who is ready to partner or even invest is welcome, because we really have to make this solution available to those who need it.
So there you have it. You may be an investor somewhere, you have money sitting at the bank doing nothing, and you're always looking for ways to to invest. I recommend Thermo Store for you. It's a new technology. We don't have any of its kind in the country, and it's proven to be very profitable in other areas like Nigeria and Kenya. I know it's happening in India. And as for Israel, they are off the hook. I mean, the kind of technology they have over there is just amazing. We need more investors in this sector so that our youth who have a lot of ideas in this can also project. And for Ghana to feed itself, we talk of planting for food and jobs. This is one area we have to look at, enhancing technology to feed our people. Let's come back to the last round of questions. What can you say to the youth out there who may have ideas in farming, and even the farmers themselves? How can they also embrace technology?
Okay, so beginning from the youth, there's a saying that 1,000 miles begins with a step. So it has to start from somewhere. You can't just wake up a day and then you have it all done. So I think on Wednesday I was sharing something on my Instagram page. I was taking the very first step. As the very necessary one. The very first step you take
is the most necessary
is the most necessary one. So speak to someone who has knowledge around this area. Share your thoughts with people. Mostly we are quiet and want to do it on our own. Our strength alone can do it. But share with someone. Seek knowledge. There's a lot of information on the internet. And it's time we have to start making use of it. And I would entreat that even every graduate should think of going into farming. Yeah.
At least have a farm.
Have a farm.
One plot of land.
If you can't even think of having a big, start with a little garden in your home. And you realize the interest you develop from that. I have been a strong advocate of the fact that people say you should always not be a jack of all trade, but a master of one. How do you know the one that you are so good at if you don't try all? So I like to try things. I like to put myself to the test. If I don't find any interest in it, I don't continue. And I think it's something a lot of youth should try. Just give yourself the test. You wouldn't die trying. It's better even dying trying than dying without anything. Your name is not known for anything. So to the youth, let's go out there. And it's agriculture. Like agriculture should be the main focus. It doesn't matter what you study in the university. That is what is blinding a lot of them.
They feel because they studied banking, they necessarily
I studied
have to
sports and exercise science.
Wow.
It's it's fresh in the country. It's not really accepted, but we have a lot of fitness centers and the rest. Why don't I say I want to go into building a fitness center, a gym? It's normal. It's the normal thing everyone is doing. To be able to go the extraordinary way, you have to do the extra. Not what everyone is doing. Everyone is establishing a gym. So I did sports and exercise science. I came out. Then I'm out of school. Then I'm a fitness trainer. Yeah, it's good. You make money out of it. But people who are making it big, where you meet a lot of youth and they want to be billionaires. Billionaires are people who pride in seeing problems. I don't know, but I've grown to that stage where when I see problem, I'm happy.
See money.
Because that is money, yeah. When you see problem and you find solution,
exactly.
You are making money. So I always want to come across something that is pressing a lot of people. And if you solve it, so that is what my colleagues out there should be looking at. Then to the farmers, it's first of all, before you can be educated, you have to avail yourself. If you don't avail yourself to be educated, then no one can force you. It's like forcing a horse to the riverside.
But
you can't force it to drink water. So if you first avail yourself, there are people ready to educate. From my little experience in the working, from Kwewu to working with teams on KIC and then visiting farms, there are farms that are doing it because they accept people in to share information with them, and then they try it out. The problem that is holding our farmers back is, would it work? Most Ghanaians want to see someone do it, and it's working. And therefore we try it. And I've had similar, let me just give a little example. I moved to my mom's place, which is a new environment. Then I realized people sell food, but there's no beverage. I do yogurt, but this is quite expensive for kids to buy, 4 cedis per bottle. So I started doing Sobolo. And the market was huge.
It was huge.
Just 3 weeks ago, I realized people around have also started because they've realized that someone is doing it and it's working. Take the risk, try it. If it doesn't work, you still continue trying.
Exactly.
You learn from your mistakes and you become perfect.
That's great. So take the bold step, try something, and it will succeed, definitely. We've learned so much from this amazing entrepreneur and a giant in the agribusiness in the making. You know, anyone who sees a problem, if you are smart enough, you will see money. And success, to me, I say money is always the byproduct of solving a problem. If you're able to solve somebody's problem and you become rich, the riches is just a byproduct. Thank you so much, Mr. Fanuel, for your immense contribution towards Ghana's technological advancement in the agribusiness sector. I hope that our youth listen, our leaders listen, and if you try to find a way to merge these people together, I mean the farmers or the agricultural students or the farmers with the ICT experts, to bring solutions that will, you know, as it were, foster productivity. Other countries are doing it. We are even blessed. We have the right conditions. We have the right conditions. If you go to places like Israel and India and the rest, they have worse conditions out there, but they still try their best to, you know, to think through innovations, to come up with more technologies to aid in their businesses in the fields of agriculture. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Time with the CEO. So we come your way again, same time next week. Bye-bye and contribute.
Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our quality is impeccable. Do you need quality and modern event equipment to power your event? Then look no further. Create Concept will provide stage, light, sound, LED screens, trusses, barricades, etc. to make that event a success. Call us now on 0246 185598 and book your event date. You can also follow us on Facebook at Create Concept, on Twitter at Create Concept, and on Instagram at Create Music. Our prices are affordable, but our